What is the ratio? What is the ratio? How many students referring from private schools? What is the service? No, not like that. Many of these schools are district information. By developing this, making a point, of 80% of the unless ICT background qualified teachers, with a very simple training of even within your or within the available teachers, we can identify a few good teachers having the ICT background. There are many. Madam, this is administrative who has to take the exam. Madam, actually, this is not the here.
Attitudinal problem, nothing more than with the second service, that is okay. People are very
to what is said this morning and with due respect to the speakers. I think we have coined down two questions from our discussion that we've had at our table. Firstly, I think we had a very able IAS officer who was telling us how he kind of rectified things, and now they have the DIS in place where there's a lot of information on ICT. He also has informed us that monetarily, I don't think the collectors lack anything. They have a lot of funds that they're sitting on. If we're looking at 81% of these schools, as Sir from NUPA has just informed us, in the rural sector, then where have we failed? Is it in the implementation? So why has the government, through this Right to Education Act, actually they're trying to rope in and say that 25% of the seats would go for children within a radius of a certain kilometers. But then we're targeting very few if we're really doing that. And there are lots of problems that would come in terms of emotional adjustment, so on and so forth. We are all for the act, but are we doing it the right way? If there is an implementation snag in rural India, and I think what we actually need to do is, if we're talking of teachers, somebody was saying that they have 120 students and one teacher probably handling more subjects. Then ICT could definitely be an answer, whereby we could have satellite education or otherwise also, where the expertise of these schools could actually pitch in and help them. Secondly, if we could have an openness whereby these schools, privately owned schools, have the funds, definitely they can go there and train these people or try to build those standards of this 81% of schools which are already there in the rural sector. By trying to say that 25% of the seats will be allotted and they need to be there in the cities, are we really addressing the issue at all? It could be a very minor thing. The second thing that, I think we like this idea about probably mapping of all government schools. I really go with that idea. If we could have a Google map of all the government schools, And then we could actually, also have a Right to Information Act as to why they did not perform. If they've got the funds and if they've put in government teachers and they're paying them salaries, if we could have the right to information as to why they have not functioned the way they should have, as they've planned. And if we can also not make it a point to pinpoint to say where the administrative officers have gone wrong, but to say where can we pitch in to actually better things. I think that would be a better idea. See, because when you say the Right to Education Act, it's a wonderful thing. But if you look at private management school, the disparity economically is a lot. Of course, we're all sensitive to it. We do tell our children, we will ensure that these kids who come in will also be treated to the best that we can with no distinction. But it is a reality. Believe me, at that tender age, one kid is walking to school. Maybe the government will give 1,000 rupees to these private managements. We can be extremely concerned and make sure that our kids will also treat them and they will all become our kids. We can assure that. But then, somebody is driving away in a Honda or somebody is driving in a better car, and on a day-to-day conversation with these children, it's going to be an emotional stress for them. Two, if we think that we can get these people from rural India back to the cities, which is unethical because they will be leaving home ground, I don't think that's fair at all, because then where they're going to stay and all these issues come in. But I also understand that this act is also restricted to 1 to 3 kilometers. So I think, are we looking at better implementation of what already exists? Taking a social responsibility from each of the private managements, would that be a better beginning? Then trying to say that, allot 25%. It's just a question, and we would love some answers on that. Thank you.
I'll request one of the panelists kindly, if they'd like to answer the question very quickly.
Thank you. There's no need actually to compare the government to the private sector. You are doing a job, we are doing a job. Are we doing our jobs? I look from my side. Are we doing our jobs properly is a question. I have no business to tell the private sector should come and cross-subsidize the children of poor areas. Actually, the fund is never an issue. Today, at least 10 years back, we had an issue. Today, funds are flowing. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan is all about funds. It's the implementation. See, I'm myself a medical doctor. The doctors and teachers are the worst administrators, frankly. Sorry to tell this. I'm a trained administrator. If I were just straight away put into the IAS and without training, I would be a bad administrator. Teachers becoming administrators is one issue, personally for me. He's becoming a joint director or director. They, of course, undergo some kind of training. But they are actually losing their core competence. It's like a surgeon, suddenly he becomes an administrator. He's neither doing surgery nor doing administering. It's a bad combination. So my own personal feeling has been that you need specialist administrators for these sensitive areas like health and education. One. Second is the funding, how it's spent on infrastructure and on teaching aids, etc. Innovations. See, innovations, a lot of innovations fund is available, but finally it ends up buying slates and pencils. Why can't you think about, ICT enabled, innovations, etc. I myself have put 3 smart classrooms, world-class smart classrooms in 3 villages. The last 4 weeks, we have done it in 3 villages, and we are trying to make it 100 villages and 100 schools. It's very much possible to do it. Funding is not an issue there also. Even in a rural school, you can put this. It's not a cost constraint at all. Because your MLA, your MP, all of them have funds. They can actually contribute towards this. Lots of NGOs are there. Lots of the private sector would like to do this. Funding is not the constraint. It's the system. It's like, why should your government secretariat look like so bad? Why is Infosys looking so beautiful? Why can't government secretariat look like Infosys? So that's the questions I raised to myself, and we can actually do it. Because we spend much more than Infosys in actually maintaining a secretariat. This is a fact of the matter. We have to take a blame for bad administration. Good people should come to administration and vision for the next 50 years, 100 years, and not look at the next 3 years, 4 years. Look at transfers policy in government. There's a problem. There is a school here which needs 10 teachers. There's a school there you require 2 teachers. It's a reverse that happens. Because somebody wants to go there and there's a problem. Now, today we have used ICT in at least Tamil Nadu to use counseling. Online counseling. So there's a vacancy, you have to go. Just like your engineering admissions. So ICT can be slowly enabled to make things transparent. That's what it does. Third, is that in Tamil Nadu at least we have provided 1.5 lakh computers to schools. Every school has at least 10 computers and projector and a screen. But what we do, I told our teachers here, is we use the computer to teach about a computer. This is a CPU, this is a mouse, this is that. You should use it to teach maths, physics, chemistry. That's content is absent. So we can have local content in the textbook corporation content, animated content, the student will log on. He will actually listen. He will actually look at the teacher as a great person because he's telling something different. So these are things which can be done